Hello ladies and gents of YouTube, Rich from PCGamesN here. We're here at E3 2017 and I'm joined by Tobias, or Toby.
Hey there.
From the Kingdom Come Deliverance team. And we're chatting Kingdom Come. We've just had a very nice presentation with our first gameplay details. Starting from the beginning, it's a historical RPG, which personally I'm very ready for, but why this particular period of history? Why not something like, say, the Wars of the Roses?
Well, hi. Kingdom Come Deliverance is, as you said, a historical open world RPG. So we decided to go this way of several reasons. One, the studio, the Warhorse Studios, is located in Prague, in Czech Republic. And the story we are talking about really happened in Bohemia. So the people at the studio are pretty much talking about their own heritage there.
Right.
So this is one motivation, of course. The other thing is that Bohemia by that time was part of the Holy Roman Empire. And several cool stories happened there, like things like full of blood and kings killing each other, and this was like something that no one ever talked about before in a video game, at least.
Right.
So that's another thing, that no one covered the Holy Roman Empire times that good in an RPG.
That's true. It's
yeah,
and pretty underexplored period of history.
Well, there are some movies about it, of course, but not RPG is something that didn't touch it that much. There are strategy games, of course, like, I don't know, like Europa Universalis or something like this, but it's not an RPG, right? And the third thing is that no one ever tried to make a realistic RPG.
Yeah.
That you have the medieval settings in Witcher, Skyrim, and even Dark Souls and so, but there's always this magical part with dragons and stuff. So we tried to create something new, something no one saw before. So like an RPG where you are not the overpowered mage, but where you're just a commoner with a sword, and then you have to like find your own way and deal with the problems people dealt with back then, and live through a story that actually really happened.
So we've heard a lot about the historical setting. Let's talk a little bit about the gameplay mechanics, just as our first hands-on gameplay. Can we talk a little bit about how you'll level up and the RPG elements?
Yes. Most of you, I guess, know Skyrim, so it's a little bit like Skyrim-esque, that you only, well, the easiest explanation is learning by doing, so you only level the stuff you're actually doing. So the more you fight with a mace, the better you get at mace fighting. The more you use a shield, for example, the better you can block. So there's an RPG system which will help you fighting through or playing through the game. So exactly as I said earlier, it's like learning by doing. But this also gives some replay value for the game, because you have to find your own way. You can, well, theoretically you can train everything if you have the time for it and the patience for it. Right. But usually if you have like one playthrough, you will should be able to choose only like, let's say, the archery type kind of, because there's no skill system in the game. You're like the regular guy Henry in the beginning, and then depending on your choices, depending on your stats, or depending on the things you have done, the questing, you will develop a certain way. And that's how you will end up in the end.
Cool. And can we talk a little about the open world structure of the game, right? So how will you, to what extent is the story pushing you in a certain direction? How will you pick your quests, and how open is it?
Well, it's a 16 square kilometers map of reconstructed Bohemia, which is today's Czech Republic. But in terms of like the game, since it's based on a true story, you want to make sure that the historical part, like the end of the game, should always be the same. Like there's this historical event that needs to happen and you have to go there. But it's up to you to explain how you get there. So it's like there are tons of ways. If you have like questing, for example, there are tons of solutions for almost all the quests, right? There's, for example, you saw it today, and of course you tried it as well. Yep. There's a skirmish happening here, what I'm showing at E3. But the skirmish does not necessarily have to happen for everyone who's playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's something that you only encounter if you decided or went a certain way earlier in the game, right? So there are like these are quests which are spreading out. There's like outbranching dialogues and outbranching quests, but which then in the end lead to the same kind of end. But you have to tell the story of Henry, the son of a blacksmith.
Okay, cool. And since we're talking about historical accuracy and everything, I'm always fascinated when a game talks about realism in that way. And there are one or two who are doing that as well, things like Chivalry and Mount and Blade. And I'm wondering, how much do you feel that you need to sacrifice in terms of gameplay value and sort of fun? Like, where do you find the balance there?
Yes, that's a huge problem, of course. We have a full-time historian in the team who is shouting all the time, no, that's not possible, that you cannot do that. And then we have the creative director who says, but we will do that. So of course, we are not doing a simulation here. We are not doing like a historical like a history lesson or something. It's just a game. It's just an entertainment product, if you want to call it like that. And we know that. So of course, we have to do compromises here and there. Most of them are because of technical reasons. Like for example, like back then they had smaller doors, and we don't want to have them like the NPC like always like bending when they go through the doors.
Okay.
So this is a huge problem. But of course, you need to do compromises here and there. I wouldn't say that the historical realism comes of the cost of like gameplay. It's more the other way around. That the more we want to have more gameplay, and then have to sacrifice the realism, not the other way around.
Sure.
But in the end, I still believe and dare to say that like the most realistic thing you can play to get into medieval Bohemia or medieval Central Europe. It's not necessarily Bohemia, but like Europe. And yeah, so I still think that the product we have, or the result we have, is like the most realistic thing you can play if you want to get into medieval ages.
Sure. I mean, it's looking great. And like one thing that you mentioned in the presentation, which I wanted to talk about just briefly before the end, is you said that with some very rare exceptions, it's actually possible to play the game almost entirely peacefully. And in trailers we see huge armies being led up, and obviously conflict is a big part of it. So what about the battles that we see in the game? Will we have to participate in those? Or?
Yes, some of those have to happen. There were castle siege back then, which needs to be siege, of course. So as you said, this game can be played almost like in a peaceful way.
Right.
But sometimes there have to be castle sieges where you will not be a leader. There will be a commander who will tell you what to do.
Okay.
So you're just a regular soldier among others. And
so we're not giving orders.
No, not at all. You're just a regular guy, and we want to keep it realistic. So there's someone who tells you what to do. And so these things will happen, but this will not happen like every weekend or so. So this is something like a big finale of a quest. There will be castle sieges, there will be skirmishes, there will be larger battles, there will be smaller battles. So they will happen. But if you sometimes, as I said earlier already, sometimes you can avoid those battles with doing certain things beforehand in the quest, or you can even change the advantage before the battle. So if you sneak in the camp, for example, which you know will be attacked soon, and do some sabotage like poisoning their food or burning their arrows and stuff, you can shift the advantage towards your you can help yourself beforehand. So
nice.
There are some tricky things you can do before, but again, it's just the game is not a fighting game per se. It's really more about the discovery, like talking to people, like getting the real historical feeling there, a medieval feeling, and the fighting just a bonus for those who really want to grab the sword and go for it.
Just have fun. Good stuff. And lastly, what was it like working with Brian Blessed?
It was awesome. This guy is a legend. Like, I mean, I was so looking forward that he came to the studio, and he's like super funny. This guy is like, he shoots one joke after the other, and he seems like having a million stories to tell. And he actually says, and I believe him, that he punched a polar bear in the nose. So he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah, an absolute unique gem. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Looking forward to the game coming out February 18th.
13th.
My bad.
Globally.
Okay,
PC,
great.
Xbox, and PlayStation.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We'll have plenty more from E3 on our YouTube channel and on the website. And we'll see you next time. Take care.